Well, howdy, folks. Guy here from the Coxswain's Journey. I'm joined, of course, by Alan and Joe, but before we get started on the rundown of all the racing over the weekend, I'd like to acknowledge the tragic situation that occurred yesterday, Tuesday, at the Melbourne Grammar School boat sheds. An athlete from the school's second 8 collapsed following an ergo, and sadly he passed away Tuesday night. Our thoughts to all the family and friends of this young man, and a shout out to the members of the Melbourne Grammar rowing fraternity. I know how close these groups are and can only imagine how hard this is hitting all of them. These sorts of tragedies reverberate through our communities, and none more so than a very close, supportive and strong community of rowing. This will impact rowers of all ages, shapes and sizes. I know when I heard the news, the hairs on my arms stood up. I can't begin to imagine what the family is going through, but all of our thoughts and prayers are with you. It will take a great deal of time for many people to move on from this, and I have absolutely no idea how the rowers of his crew and fellow MGS rowers will reconcile the next few days and weeks leading up to the head of the river. If you manage to field boats at the Henley on Saturday, you'll certainly have mine and no doubt the whole rowing community's support. I can only assume you can all glean a great deal of strength and push on and show respect for this young man. Wale Ed. On that note, Alan, thank you for joining me. Joe, thank you for joining me. How are you both?
Well, I was thinking today, with 4 daughters, I was feeling very sad for those parents.
Yeah.
Shocking situation.
Yeah.
But this sort of thing happens, and in hospitals around the country, young folk die each day, which is incredibly sad.
It is horrific. It is
horrific.
Under the circumstances and so forth.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, we could be down about this, or we can, let's
head for the centre of optimism.
So I think we've got a short time with you, haven't we, Joe? You've got to press on to a rowing meeting, I believe, in about 15 to 20 minutes' time. So
I do.
So based on that, we're gonna get some information as best we can out of you very quickly. We're gonna do a bit of a review before the preview. Sorry, the other way around. A preview before the review. In other words, we're going to discuss what's coming up this weekend before we go into last weekend, which makes complete sense, doesn't it? So we've got a lot on this weekend. What have we got on this weekend, Alan?
We've got the junior state championships, which I'm sure Joe's going to have a fantastic time at. We've got the famous Ballarat Head of the Lake.
Oh, that too. Right.
Yeah. And
I didn't see it. Right.
Yeah.
That's your favourite, Alan. That's your favourite, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love the Protestants versus the Catholics.
The old school battles. Yep.
Oh, yes. And, of course, we've got on Saturday, unfortunately, in warm conditions, we've got the Henley Regatta, but we've got a brilliant field of 8s in that. And I'm looking forward to that so much. So
I'm looking forward to that one too.
Yeah, I know. I saw you're there.
Having a go.
We'll see each other in real life.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly, because I won't be doing much on the river, I don't think. We're just hoping to get to the next round. That's the old Henley. That's a tough one.
It is.
Anyway, all right. So, what can you tell us about what we can expect? Do you think? Well, Joe, actually, why don't we start with Joe, because we've only got you for limited time, Joe, and I know this has been thrown on you a little bit because you're sitting in the car about to go into a meeting. You thought we were going to talk about what happened last weekend. You're probably fully prepared, and all of a sudden we've thrown what's happening next weekend at you. Have you got any thoughts ahead of the junior and inter-schoolgirls state championships this weekend?
Really excited for junior state championships this weekend. I think it's going to be a great prelude to head of the schoolgirls. I think it's our last regatta beforehand, so it'll be great for the crews to, I guess, it's their last sort of training session in a regatta situation.
Yep.
Before head of the schoolgirls. So yeah, I think there'll be a lot more parents, and we'll see a lot more support on the banks as well, gauging where all the crews are at.
And the other thing too is, of course, a lot of the girls probably don't realise there will be 3 medals up, won't there?
Indeed.
They get the silvers and the bronzes at state championships.
It's exciting.
Yeah. So you can still come away with something. I did notice there's some good entries there. There's a total of 1,217 athletes involved. That's a big number between juniors and inters, isn't it?
The major interest is in the small boats. Joe, you after your very important meeting tonight, if
what are you laughing at, Alan? Are you implying that a Finchner rowing meeting is not important? You might have yourself a bit of a battle on your hands if you try that.
I have been to a few over the years, and I don't remember a lot of them, guys. So. Joe, if you have a look at the, remember we've been talking about this lass Sky Quirk in junior singles. Remember?
Yes.
Her?
Yeah.
She's actually rowing doubles with that Walsh lass. Who, remember they rowed up in inters last time in doubles?
Yeah.
Well, they're actually rowing this weekend in juniors. So Quirk's not rowing juniors by herself, which is particularly interesting. And the other thing in that doubles is that the Milton Agar doubles from Corowa have scratched. And the reason is that Agar's got a basketball final or something. So all the interesting stuff usually happens around the small boats. The other thing I noticed was there's all these names, Joe, that you won't recognise because they're coming down from Corowa, New South Wales and Gippsland. And so you've got this fascinating situation that if you're doing the form like I have to do, actually not so much for this, but for Heather Schoolgirls, you've got all these lasses that you've never heard of before.
You don't know the names.
Yeah.
And you've got a Kaphasis rowing in Inter Juniors, who's obviously the younger sister of Constantina, who went to MLC, and you've got another Shields, who's the younger sister of the big girl, Aurora. So you've got Angeline. So I think most of the interesting mixes are in the small boats. I mean, the quads are just pretty standard.
So you're not expecting anything unusual out of the quads, is what you're telling me?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's pretty standard fare.
Yeah.
But the interesting stuff is in the small boats.
Just on that, sorry, Alan, just to jump in there. On all of that, while we do have Joe, what are the views? What are you gleaning from the parents on the banks in relation to the smaller boats versus the big boats? I'm a massive fan of the singles. I find that, as I keep saying, I admire them having a crack at that one. But what do the parents, do you think, say about all that? Do they do they embrace the smaller boats as much as they do the quads or even the eights?
Oh, absolutely. I think with the smaller boats, that in particular sculls, like the girls are out there on their own, so there's a big appreciation for the effort that the girls are going to, and the courage that they have to build up, especially the juniors and some of the inters are first time in a single scull as well. For my daughter, it's the first year she's rowed in a double. So learning how to steer the boat on your own, coach yourself through a race on your own. Like, I think it is recognised by the parents, and I think they're great to watch as well.
Is your daughter in the stroke seat or the bow seat?
She's in the bow seat.
So she has to worry about a bit of steering.
She has to worry about a bit of steering, but it's in the blood, so.
Yeah, of course. And that the old Barwon has it is at the Barwon, isn't it? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yep. The old Barwon has a little bit of a dog leg depending on the lane too, so it can be a bit of a tricky one. But that's all right.
Last bit. You don't realise there's a turn there. Yeah.
No, you don't realise there's a turn there until you go banging over boys. Good. Yeah. But no, I think there's definitely an appreciation for the smaller boats and an understanding of how it's just that little bit more difficult sometimes. Yeah, absolutely. Well, hopefully there might be a medal for Finchner in the year 10 double.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, all right. Fingers crossed.
That should be a great regatta, actually, Guy and Joe. Took a bit of a look at it. There's a couple. Well, there's more than a couple. There's a few split events, so that means 6 medals for those girls. So
just on that, Alan, these split events, that they won't be split for head of schoolgirls, will they?
No, they run those repecharges and things.
Yeah.
But at this regatta, if you've got 20 in an event, they'll be split into 10s, and that means there'll be 3 medals in each split.
No.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So I like that because we talked about that the other day.
We did. But that does mean 30% get a medal. Does that take?
Well, I don't mind that to keep them in the program.
And 100% agree with that.
Yep.
I agree with that. I don't know about at Masters. I think it gets a bit silly, but I certainly agree with that at school level and especially at the junior level.
Nothing like seeing a schoolgirl with a medal around her neck. So they're always happy.
Oh, very rewarding for the...
I'm 57 and I love my medal. Don't worry about that. I'm the first one there to get it.
I think it's great for the girls because they, there's a lot of hard work and training and, the dedication that they put into being part of the rowing team. So to be able to come away with a medal for second, I think and third is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yep, agree with that. And it says state championship on it. That's pretty cool. And especially for the winners, they're the sort of things you can talk about when you're 50 years old. I won a state championship,
That was my only commentary experience at the Victorian State Championships, Guy. I was the relief commentator. I think I did too much.
Was that the they probably want to get rid of you. It's like
No. I did about 25, 30 events.
Oh, yep.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think I got a round of applause.
Well, you've got probably more knowledge than anyone I can possibly think of in the space.
Anyway,
that's
that
for
was great fun. Well, shall we get on to Joe? Have you got any more time? Or you?
We've got about 3 minutes.
I've got about 3 minutes. I was going to just say too,
go on.
With the rewarding, talking about the medals and the rewards, for the girls, I know the hoodie collection from these regattas as well are almost equally as important, and they wear them with such pride and as from being a rower. So I know that there's at this regatta coming up, they've got the Junior State Championships hoodies that are very popular.
Wouldn't you want shares in the regatta shop at this point in time?
Yes.
It doesn't matter what regatta, they just said bang, they're gone.
Yeah.
No, it's good. Well, look, Joe, thank you for your jumping in from the car, ready to go into the meeting, and we appreciate the time that you spent. We'll catch up next week following all of this to talk about what's happened.
Yes, exciting.
Before you do go, did you have anything to add from what's happened last weekend that we might need to know about, or is all?
Well, no, we had for juniors and inters, we had a regatta-free weekend.
Oh, yeah, of course.
We got to have a sleep-in.
That's right. It was just Nagambie where they all got smashed around. I'm sure, Alan, we can talk about that shortly.
You'll have to listen in, Joe, to find out.
I will, definitely. Well, thank you.
No worries.
Enjoy your meeting, Joe. Just cut off a few heads.
More planning.
More than one. It's more planning.
Yeah.
Planning the important stuff too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Find that Fintona hockey ground that I remember so well.
Fintona hockey ground? No.
There used to be one.
No, Alan, I think the fact that if there's there's room for I'm trying to think of what possible. There is a facility, an indoor facility, but that's about it. Across the road, maybe you're thinking of across the road, but use the Baldwin facilities a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway. All right, thanks, Joe. Thanks for joining
me.
Joe. Very nice car, Joe.
Take care. Thank you.
Lots of leather.
Lots of leather. She's blending into the seats, isn't she, Alan?
Isn't she? She's got the same colour as the seats.
Yeah, so those that can't see, Joe's wearing a black leather jacket and you can't even see it because she blends into the seats.
Yeah.
Anyway, that aside, let's move on to something more important, shall we? Alan, what do you think? Shall we go?
Well, let's just quickly deal with Nagambie, hey?
Yep.
Well, as I arrived, I was feeling particularly optimistic because I met the gentleman who runs the Centre of Optimism, and he and I have become quite good mates.
That's quite funny. Did you actually say to him, we were talking about the centre of optimism as a
sponsor. He'll be listening now.
And trying to and trying to work out what the hell that means and what it's all about.
Yeah.
Sponsorship does have value.
Well, he's an ex-politician, so you better be careful.
Oh, hang on. But on that, I do like to bring up the sponsors, and I'll continue to try and do so if I remember. But go on.
Yeah. No, he's a lovely guy. Anyway, it all looked reasonable in the first hour or so. And in fact, some of those early heats and things were being won by lanes 5, 6 and 7.
Yeah.
But by the time I looked down at the finals of 8's Division 1, poor old Loreto, Toorak, Geelong Grammar and Furbank were detached very early on.
Yeah.
And it was pretty hideous at the start. Furbank's seconds crew almost sank. They were about, if you're watching your screen there, you'll see that they were about a minute behind the fleet.
Yep.
Apparently one of the boat holders got very upset, perhaps hurt themselves.
Oh.
It just was a mess up there. After lunch, they cancelled the singles.
Yeah, I heard that.
Doubles ran though. Virginia Lee, who's the doyen of Albert Park College, made a comment on my group saying it was jumpers off and on all afternoon, and that's about right. I mean, it was windy for half an hour, then not.
Yep.
St Catherine's I joked with the parents, St Catherine's owned lane 2 and did exceptionally well, but that whole regatta reminded me of Nationals of a few years ago, where they had to put the winning heats in lanes 2 and 3.
Yep. Give them a chance.
Yeah, well, they were the major chances. But it was a good day. Swan ruined the chances of our single sculler Alice Joyce. The Swan survived, but Alice didn't.
Oh, right.
She was knocked out.
Oh, well, at least it's good news for the Swan, I suppose.
Yeah, and I did meet Maddie Horridge from Oregon State University, who's already got a Genazzano and MLC girl on her roster, and she was out there doing her job.
Yep.
She's a Brisbane person who's got a very American twang now.
All right.
So, quickly, going on to the events, in 8's Division 1, St Catherine's were absolutely supreme, as you can probably see. Are you up to that one yet?
I'm looking at it. Oh dear, that's not a margin. That's the next stage.
Yeah, I mean, but they were in the peach of a lane.
Wow. Lane 2. Yeah, lane 2. Yeah.
From MGGS, I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
And then you see the little gaggle LT, GG, and Furbank. Who had the lousy lanes. CGS was a bit disappointing in the final. Lauriston did well to win the B final. Wesley and MGC in the final had a bit of a gap, but in the heat, Wesley only beat MGC by a second, which was interesting.
Right. That could be even the lane, although 4 to 6 shouldn't make that much difference.
What that really means is St Catherine's and MGGS top 3. Look, you'd have to say at this stage, St Catherine's is number 1.
Yep.
There's half a gap to MGGS and MLC. Remember, MLC beat MGGS at the Windermere Ballarat Regatta by 3 seats. Remember, we discussed that. And then you've got these crews like LT, Furbank, that can actually produce an absolute ripper, but not regularly.
Yep.
And that's the issue. Another big story of the regatta was in under 21s, where St Catherine's beat MUBC by 9 seconds.
I can see that. Nearly 10 seconds, actually.
Yeah. And then
3 lengths.
I didn't notice this because I didn't notice that it entered. MGGS's seconds. Now, I'm not absolutely convinced this is correct.
Yeah.
But they beat Merckx by 13. What was it? 13? No, 8 seconds.
No.
So you've got a seconds school crew beating Mercantile's first 8.
Right. Just on that under 21, I am noticing a name in Melbourne Uni, Diva, and she was in the under 21 Australian crew that rode over in Canada, I think, this year.
Yeah. Well, what that really means is that the school crews are quite strong this year, and I think the club crews aren't quite as strong. I don't think it means anything more than that. MLC, which we questioned last week, why aren't they there? They had their formal.
That's imperative.
So the formal was why they weren't there.
Yep.
The week before, however, there is a bit of stuff happening there because they didn't go to Sydney because of some reason.
Mm-hmm.
In 8's Division 2, Geelong Grammar came back brilliantly to win that by about 3 seconds from MGGS.
Wow.
And then Loretto Turak, you can see that.
Yep.
Well, MLC's not, that's MLC's weakest division, and Geelong Grammar have got their heads up there. I think.
So just on that side issue is for the head of the river.
Yeah.
The APS head of the river. There's a hell of a gap between the APS schools on that one, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Geelong Grammar just looked very strong there, and I think you mentioned last week they've got 5 crews.
Yeah. Did I say that?
Well, I think you mentioned last week that there's only 2 boys crews and. No,
that was the entries. Yeah.
Yeah. So that girls' squad is very strong.
Yeah.
So, going to nationals, St Catherine's have already entered their first and seconds. The nationals entries are already coming in.
Yep.
And they've also entered the daughter of the Centre of Optimism. So really, the 7 and 8 seat in the first 8 are entered in a pair. Mm. Now, those girls beat all the Mercs and MUBC pairs here in a couple of regattas ago, and they're actually entered at nationals. Yep. And they've done a couple of things with 4s, so very exciting for St Catherine's. So I'm really pleased about that. In 4's Division 1, if you fly down there on your screen, tell me when you're ready.
Yep, I'm good.
Yep. Loretto Ballarat won quite comfortably. Genazzano was 7 seconds behind. You had Damascus in a very good lane come next. Yep. I don't think at the head of the late they'll beat Ballarat Clarendon, but they did. There was no Ballarat Grammar because they took their whole fleet out.
Yep.
In Division 2, Ballarat Clarendon won nicely. Ballarat High did very well. But
so I was just noticing, Alan, that I thought they were scrapping preliminaries due to the big scheduling. But obviously,
no.
Yeah, anyway, it doesn't matter.
Well, just as an aside, I looked at the scheduling. So we'll just stop there for a second. The regatta on Saturday was longer than the regatta in 2020.
Yeah.
Even though there are no under-19s.
Yeah.
Why? There are now club events.
Yeah.
Which I'd totally forgotten about.
Yes, that's a relatively new thing.
That's right.
And because of the distance, so the club events are over the 2K.
Indeed.
So that's why they're not on the Sunday.
Yeah. So what happens is that even though I'm pining for the under-19 events, you've got to remember those club events there. So in F2, the real shock there was Loretto Ballarat. They were in a shocking lane 6, but they got flogged. Genazzano were well back. That MGC crew was a sort of a mix of their firsts and seconds.
Yep.
8s. Nothing too exciting there. Interesting in Quad Division 1.
Yeah.
Wrighton crew has twins at either end of the boat, and they're identical.
Oh, right.
So when you look at that boat, you've got 2 identical girls at either end. It's absolutely fascinating. And I have to tell you, there are twins in several boats this year.
Oh.
So that's
now, this is some useful trivia.
Yeah, it's useful trivia.
Yeah.
Strathcona really took up the bit this week. They didn't let Wrighton clear. And from, I think, in the worst lane of the afternoon, I think that was probably 6 or 5, was it? Are you in Q1 yet?
I'm getting lost now. Where are we? We're on, Q1.
We're in the afternoon.
Strathie wins. Albert Park, Wrighton.
So I think that was...
Oh, that was the preliminary, sorry.
Yeah,
Strathie,
take a look at the final.
Yep.
And I think they came out of a bad lane. I think they were 5 or 6, weren't they?
Yeah, 5.
Yeah,
so
okay.
You got Strathie 4, which is a shocking lane.
Yeah, well, not. Yeah, okay.
No,
so
it's only
Wrighton,
on that sort of on Sunday anyway. There was only 1 and 2 that had the protection. From 3, it was downhill.
Oh, really?
3 slightly better.
That was
but,
worse.
And I think Saturday, by the sounds of things, was a lot worse than Sunday.
Yeah. So Strathy's won by a second and a half from Brighton. Look, those two might switch around. I mean, Gippsland Grammar's the big crew there.
Yeah.
I think Strathy just basically didn't let Brighton go in that race, and APC were 12 seconds behind. In under 21, Strathy won easily, but Brighton didn't contest that. Vintner, which has been showing up recently, didn't handle the conditions at all, didn't have a great race.
Yeah.
And in Q2, or Division 2 quads, Albert Park College is really sweet to watch. They won by 8 seconds from Strathy, 7 seconds from Corowa.
Yeah.
Further back, and then Brighton. So APC is looking good for Division 2.
And to sidetrack, they dusted us up on Sunday, so they must have made a weekend of it, because they participated in the C grade quads and sorted us oldies out.
Well, they probably decided you won too many medals.
Well, not me.
So that Q1 race was one of the more exciting events of the day. Another exciting event was under 21 single sculls, where Beatrix Hearn, who's heading for the University of Iowa, raced down Leila Hucker, who's from North Esk in Tasmania, but now representing MUBC.
Yeah.
Beat her by 4 seconds, and came home like a steam train. That was one of the best races of the day.
Yeah.
Under 21 double sculls was won by Kafarthis and Schmidt.
Yep.
I took a look. They won from lane 6. They potentially might row under 19 double sculls at Nationals. I looked today, there's only 1 entry. So they might well do that.
Yep.
They were 8 seconds in front of Whitehouse and Tan from Corowa.
Do you know what I'd love to see, which I can understand why is not there? I would love to see the splits of these 2K races, because that's where the story is. And the coaches would love to see the splits, I imagine, because they can actually go away and see what's going on. A lot more information when you're seeing the splits. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, the 500 metre splits, who's sitting where at what times and they're doing, and you can actually get a lot more information from that, I reckon. But anyway.
Yeah. In schoolgirls doubles, Whithouse and Tan from Coral won from the Barwon crew. The Barwon crew did a lot better in the prelim or heat than they did in the final, but it was a bit choppy at that stage. Those Barwon girls aren't from the same school, so they can't row together. I suspect what will happen is that Horton, who was hidden away in in clubs, will come back and row with McGregor in head of schoolgirls. I could be wrong.
Right.
Lots of permutations there, but that's probably my guess.
Yep.
And that is about it for that regatta.
Well, there we go.
We can probably almost wrap it up, except you've got the head of the lake where Loreto Ballarat's probably favoured to win the first division, and Ballarat Grammar's probably favoured to win the second division.
Yep. And
at the Henley, where we just hope the St Catherine's come through and produce that refreshment area, makes things bearable.
Yep.
What can be a boring regatta.
It can be a bit, can't it?
I think it's past its prime. But you just hope that that eights race is an absolute ripper, because you've got all the best there.
Right.
So I would hope that's a good race. The quad race is pretty light on, and you wouldn't worry about too much of the rest, except for the ones that Besley's in.
Yeah, exactly right.
Exactly right.
Exactly right. Now, so Alan, who are we tipping for Henley?
For the girls.
Girls, yeah.
Oh, well, you'd think St Catherine. If St Catherine's don't win, that would be a major surprise. So you'd expect that the semi-finalists after the time trial would be St Catherine's, MLC, and MGGS, and one other.
We got MLC back though, right? So
yeah. So I would think
and it's also an unusual distance for a lot of them.
1,600. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, I think the scenario there is, I really do believe that it's been an unusual post-Christmas period. I mean, I said in my post that you've had warm, muggy conditions in New South Wales. Most of them avoided Ballarat because they didn't think it was going to be a flat service, and it was.
Mm.
And Nagambie was a windy service, so they all turned up on the Yarra. And that's fine. I mean, the Melbourne Amateur Rowing Association isn't exactly my idea of an organised type scenario, but you know,
we don't get political on this show, Alan. Remember?
Oh, don't we?
No, we don't get political. We can make some subtle comments. Well played, but we don't get.
You don't get political.
Actually, that's true. I don't.
I've seen some of your posts in the past.
Oh God, no, that's
anyway.
That's,
So I think this weekend's going to be very exciting. I love the head of the lake, as you well know.
Yep.
I enjoy the Henley these days, and Joe's going to have a fantastic time down in Geelong.
Absolutely. Hey, here's a question for you. I'm just looking at the little brochure of the Australian Henley, and it says at the bottom, "Come race in the sophomore year of the 2X events." What does that mean? Sophomore.
No,
is that some sort of American rowing? Yeah, sophomore. Is that second year, first year? What does that even mean? I don't know.
Freshers first year, isn't it?
Freshmen's, yeah, that's right. Must be the second year. So what does it mean? 2X events. What's the two doubles? Oh well, I'm sidetracking there, aren't I?
All right. Now, guess what?
What?
I've got to go off and have a lasagna.
All right. Oh, good. Well, I had my quick one last time, but yeah, that's right. Well, you go and have your lasagna, Alan. Thank you for joining me again. I'll probably. Well, I may not
see you.
I may not see you at the Henley because I'll only see you if we get more than one race. Because we're coming in. If we do one race, we turn around and we just go home with our tails between our legs.
Tail between?
Yeah. If we get multiple races, then, we stay in. And I've been a little bit ambitious. I'm trying to organise some stretches to be in town to put boats on, but I think that's a bit ambitious. But we'll see. You never know. Luck of the draw, isn't it, with Henley? Well,
we can talk about it next week. I will see you, though. I'll make a point of finding your crew.
Excellent. All right. Well, look, Alan, thank you again for joining me.
Pleasure, guy.
Until next time, big weekend ahead.
Hopefully Jo hasn't been decapitated at her meeting and is no longer the president.
No, I'm sure she'll be running things beautifully. And having been in her position in the past at that school, they're organising things very nicely. They're very focused and very driven. And as you know, with the schoolgirls, head of schoolgirls, there's a lot to organise for the parents behind the scenes.
Yeah, there is.
Lots of important stuff to make the whole thing a great success for all of the kids and the parents, more importantly, for the parents.
All right.
Okay,
good.
On that note, thanks again, and we'll see you next time.
Okay.